In the quality assurance module, we are going to define what quality assurance is and how it applies to the dental office. We will discuss the different quality control tests that can be administered and talk about the quality assurance plan as well. It's important that we maintain quality assurance because it all comes down to protecting that patient before exposure. If we know that everything's working well, our equipment, our solutions, and we expose our patient, we know there's a good chance that we won't need to repeat that process. So you might be asking, what is quality assurance? It is a set of steps used to assure that radiographs are going to be produced at their highest quality. It includes a quality control test and an administrative plan. It includes a quality control test and an administrative plan. Ultimately, the dentist is the one that's responsible for the plan, but the dental assistant needs to know what their role is and how important their role is because they may be the one that is actually performing the quality control tests. So the quality control test is a specific set of tests used to test the equipment, supplies, and how film is processed. And it is going to include things such as the X-ray machines, X-ray film, screens and cassettes, darkroom lighting, processing equipment, and processing solutions. For the dental X-ray machine, it should be inspected regularly, including calibration, which is adjusting for accuracy. And this needs to be done by a qualified technician. So this is not something that the dental assistant can do or should do. There's also annual testing that should be completed, and these are recommended by the American Academy of Dental Radiology. The tests that are recommended annually are designed to identify minor problems like the machine output. Is the collimation okay? Is the tube head drifting? Are there any timing errors? Things like that. And these annual tests can be performed by the dentist, the dental assistant, the dental hygienist, or if you're more comfortable, having a qualified technician. I realize I got ahead of myself on this slide, so I'm going to go back and redo this slide. For the quality control test on the dental x-ray machine, this is something that should be inspected regularly, including calibration, which is adjusting for accuracy. And this is a test that must be completed by a qualified technician. So the dental assistant, the dentist, or the hygienist should not be trying to calibrate the machine. There is also annual testing that should be done. These annual tests are recommended by the American Academy of Dental Radiology. They can be completed by someone in the office, or if you're more comfortable, having someone from the manufacturer come out and complete these tests. But these tests are designed to find problems with the way the machine output is, the collimation, is the tube head drifting, are there any timing errors, or problems with the KVP and the MA readings. Most of these tests require basic testing materials, and that includes film and a log so that you're able to record your results. And then each year you would put your information or put your results in that same log so that if someone audited, so if the some so if someone were to audit you, you would have all of your results in chronological. So if someone were to audit you, you would have all of your results in chronological order available in some kind of binder or a folder or a document on a computer. For a quality control test on X-ray film, Film should always be properly stored, protected, and used before its expiration date. To make sure it's fresh, though, each box should be tested whenever it's opened just to make sure that it is fresh. Errors happen in the manufacturer as well, and you wouldn't know that until the film was processed. Follow these basic steps to complete the test for freshness. Unwrap an unexposed film from the box and process it. For the results, if the film is fresh, it will have a clear. Okay, I think you might have heard my phone in the background of this one, so I'm going to go back here and I'm going to start this slide over. For the X-ray film, when you get that box in from your order, make sure it is properly stored, protected, and used before its expiration date. When opening a new box, it should be tested for freshness. Things can happen. It can get pushed to the back, not paying attention to when the expiration date is. Errors can occur at the manufacturer level. So if we test that film, we're going to know that it's good or not prior to exposing a patient. So for a simple test, unwrap an unexposed film from the box and process it. Your results: it is a fresh film if it is clear with a slight blue tint. If the film is fogged, the film has expired, been stored incorrectly, or exposed to radiation. Do not use this film, throw the box away, and test another box. For your screens or your cassettes, a cassette should be examined for dirt, scratches, light leaks, and warping, while your screens should be cleaned monthly. There are commercially available cleaners that are recommended by each screen manufacturer. So just look into that, or if you have any questions, ask the other assistants in the office. After cleaning, an anti-static solution should be used. This prevents any static electricity from occurring while you may be opening or closing the film. So that will prevent an error from occurring in your film as well. Your cassettes should be tested for film to screen contact. This is important because if you don't have that proper film to screen contact, you may not get a resulting diagnostic image. And so how we test that is we insert one film between screens in the holder. Then you'll place a test object on top. It's usually some kind of wire or some kind of mesh object. Then you will place the PID in position and expose the film using the settings of 10 mA, 70 kVp, and 15 impulses. Once this is done, you will process the film, then review in a dark room 6 feet from the safe light. The results: it does have proper contact if the object, so this is the test object, is on the film with good density. There is not proper contact if there's any variation of densities within the object radiographed. So if you notice any difference in the densities at all, you'll just want to replace that screen and start over again. If there's any discrepancies in the density, you will want to either repair or replace the cassette. To test the view box, examine it often for dirt and any discoloration on the plexiglass. Any permanently discolored plexiglass should be replaced. Any discoloration that may leak up into your x-ray needs to be replaced. It could alter the way the x-ray is viewed and cause an improper diagnosis. Any light bulbs that may have darkened or went out should be changed, and the screen should be wiped down daily. One of the most important areas for quality control is going to be your film processing, and this needs to be monitored daily. The lighting in the darkroom should be checked every 6 months. To check your darkroom lighting, you will need to prepare the darkroom by turning off all lights, including the safe light. Check the darkroom for any light leaks. So look towards the door that you enter. Check there, make sure that there isn't any light on the top, the bottom, through any of the sides. Then you will want to do the safe light test. This is also known as the coin test. You will also turn off all the lights in the darkroom and unwrap an unexposed film. Place it on a flat surface at least 4 feet from the safe light. Place the coin on the film and then turn on the safe light and allow it to sit there for 3 to 4 minutes. So you're now technically exposing this film to light, but it's the safe light, so it's supposed to be okay. So that's what we're testing. You will then remove the coin and process the film. The safe light is working properly if there's no visible image seen on the processed radiograph. So if you cannot see that coin on there, then it's working properly. The safe light is not working properly if the coin does appear but has a fogged background. If that's the case, then your safe light needs to be replaced. Your processing equipment needs to be monitored daily. The temperature of solutions should be monitored with a thermometer. Each solution, when you're using manual processing, requires a certain temperature, and it's so important that they are at that proper temperature or it will not process correctly. If it's an automatic processor, solution levels should be checked and then replenished. Daily tests should be done. Unwrap 2 unexposed films, and then you're going to expose 1 to light. Both films need to be processed, and for your results, your automatic processor is functioning if the unexposed film is clear and dry, while the exposed film is black and dry. So a clear film that's been unexposed means your automatic processor is functioning properly. It is not properly functioning if the unexposed film is not dry and not clear. Therefore, it's going to need repaired before it can be used. This is why it's important to check these things daily. You might be able to catch a problem before it becomes a major problem, or have a backup plan in place. So if this does result in a further problem, we can continue on with the day. For your processing solutions, the quality of the solution is important to the quality of the film. So if your solution has deteriorated any at all, it is going to cause the quality of your film to downgrade as well. So you must replace it completely every 3 to 4 weeks. But you should evaluate it each day before processing your films. For the developer, you'll want to compare film densities using one of the following tests. There's a reference radiograph, a step wedge radiograph, or using a normalizing device. The first one we'll discuss here is the reference radiograph, or a radiograph that is processed under normal conditions or ideal conditions and is compared to a daily radiograph. So this is going to be done at the beginning of your chemical life cycle, basically. So the day you replenish your chemicals or refresh your chemicals, you should run a new reference radiograph. And how that's done is you'll take a fresh film after you've changed all your chemicals out, of course. You'll take a fresh film and expose it using the correct exposure settings. So just as if you're taking a normal film on a patient on a normal day. Process the film with those fresh chemicals at the appropriate time and temperature, and then view the reference radiograph and a daily radiograph side by side. If the densities match, your developer solution is at the correct strength. If the densities do not match, the developer strength must be weakened or it's too strong, or the developer temperature is too warm or too cool. So you'll need to do a little bit of troubleshooting to try to figure out what the problem is, correct the problem, and then rerun another radiograph to compare. The next test would be the step wedge radiograph. And a step wedge is a device that is made up of layers of aluminum, and those layers of aluminum almost look like a set of steps, so you can kind of test the different areas of the film. So what you'll do here is you will prepare 20 films to create enough supplies for the step wedge. Place the step wedge on top of a film, expose that film, and then repeat with each remaining film. Use fresh chemicals and process one film. This will show the different densities from the step wedge and is known as the standard step wedge radiograph. So we have 19 more films left. What do we do with them? Store them. The other 19 exposed films are going to be kept in a cool, dry place away from radiation. Each day, after replenishing the chemicals, you will process one of those films. So if you are going to do this process, you will need to do every 20 days, basically, you will need to do a new set of films. Then you will compare the standard radiograph and the daily radiograph. If the densities match, the developer solution strength is correct. If it does not match, or if it's different by more than 2 steps, the developer is not adequate and needs to be changed before processing another film or before processing your patient films. Here's just a sample for you, or an example of a step wedge. Okay, so since I clicked out of that accidentally, let's try this one again. So here is a sample of a step wedge. This one right here, this is the actual step wedge. You can see it looks like a set of steps, and each layer is more aluminum as you travel up the steps. So that when you come over here and you see the processed radiograph, you can see this layer here had the least amount of aluminum blocking the radiation. This layer here had the most amount of aluminum blocking the radiation. And the last one to test developer strength is the normalizing device. And this is a device that is used just to monitor the strength of the developer and the film density. And it is a product that is commercially available. Next, we have the fixer strength. Inadequate fixer takes a long time to clear the silver halide crystals. If a fixer is at full strength, it should take about 2 minutes for those silver halide crystals to clear. Anything longer than that, it could be, or you, A fixer that is at a proper strength should clear the silver halide crystals in about 2 minutes. That's pretty good time. Anything greater than that, depending on what procedure you're doing, it could be vital to the procedure. So, to test our fixer, unwrap a film and place it in the fixer solution. Check that the film has cleared and measure how long it took to clear the film. Again, if it clears in 2 minutes, the fixer strength is correct. If it's slower than 2 minutes or not completely clear after 3 to 4, your fixer's weak. It will need to be replaced prior to processing any additional films. That wraps up the quality control tests, but we also have the quality administrative procedures. And this is management of the quality assurance plan. So this is just making sure that all of the correct steps are being done to make sure all of the tests are taking place so that we know everything is working. And this plan is going to include the description of the plan, the assignment of duties, so who's responsible for what, the schedule for monitoring, the schedule for maintenance, your logbook, your evaluation and revision plan, and any in-service training that may need to take place. I've adjusted the screen, so I'm going to go ahead and redo this slide because it cut off one of the bullet points. So we finished all the quality control tests, but that was just one part of it. Now we move on to the quality administration procedures. This is managing the quality assurance plan, so making sure that everything is getting done. And that is going to include the description of the plan, the assignment of duties, the schedule for monitoring, the schedule for maintenance, a logbook, the evaluation and revision plan, and any in-service training. The schedule for monitoring is important because it's going to detail the frequency of testing and how the testing is going to be done for all equipment supplies and all of the film. And the maintenance schedule should be written so that we know when the routine service and inspection of the equipment is going to be done as well. The next part of it is operator competence. Again, ultimately, the dentist is responsible for all of this stuff, but they depend on the assistants and the hygienist to expose and process films. The dentist is ultimately responsible, but usually the assistant and the hygienist are the ones actually taking care of all of this stuff. So it is important for them to understand these procedures and how to complete all of these quality tests. And consistency is important. So they need to all be completing these tests as close to the same way as possible. So let's review. After processing, a fresh film that has been properly stored and protected will appear: A, fogged, B, clear with a slight blue tint, C, dark blue, or D, totally black. The correct answer is B, clear with a slight blue tint. The coin test is used to check A, proper safe lighting, B, strength of the processing solution, C, film density, or D, beam collimation. The answer is A, proper safe lighting. A reference radiograph is processed only when you think processing solutions may be contaminated. The answer is false. A reference radiograph is processed in ideal conditions. The answer is false. A reference radiograph is processed in ideal conditions and used to compare film densities of daily radiographs. And the last one, calibration of a dental x-ray machine should be completed by a qualified technician, not the dentist, dental assistant, or hygienist?
And that answer is true.